Most Christians believe theology is important, but let's be honest, many people avoid it. But not you, or you wouldn't be watching. We tend to avoid it when it turns into an academic competition, or we think it's only for pastors and scholars. And I think here's the biggest reason. We avoid it completely because it feels too complicated. Like, getting theology wrong isn't just a small mistake, it shapes how we see God, live, and treat others. So no big deal. Today, we're breaking down the biggest mistakes Christians make about theology and why it actually matters. Mistake 1, thinking theology is just... Do you have theme music? Oh yeah, all the great ones have theme music. McGuire, Sosa, Aaron Judge.
I think you mean walk-up music.
Same thing.
But why are you here?
I need an opinion on my turtleneck. I'm teaching a class on eschatology, and it's the study of the end times. And do you think this is turtlenecky enough? Like a Ninja Turtle turtleneck?
The Ninja Turtles didn't have turtlenecks.
Oh, I see. I need to change my whole outfit. And somewhere along the way, we got the idea that theology is just for scholars, pastors, or people with way too much free time. And because of that, a lot of Christians check out. They think that's for seminary students. I'm just going to focus on loving Jesus. But here's the thing. Theology isn't just for the experts. Theology is just thinking rightly about God, and every Christian is a theologian, whether they realize it or not. The real question isn't if you have a theology. It's whether your theology is good or bad.
Bad theology isn't just an abstract mistake, it has real consequences. If you believe, God just wants me to be happy, no matter what, you'll start making decisions based on feelings, not faith. If you think God helps those who help themselves, you'll start believing salvation depends on your effort instead of grace. If you assume, God will never give me more than I can handle, you'll struggle when life gets hard.
Have you heard someone say, God won't give you more than you can handle? Drop a comment if so. You see how that works, though? Your theology directly impacts how you live, how you pray, and also how you handle suffering. So what should you do? You don't need a PhD to have good theology. You just need 3 key habits. First, read the Bible for yourself. Don't just rely on sermons and social media, because the more you engage with Scripture, the better your theology is going to be. It sounds simple, but it's true. Second, ask good questions. Don't be afraid to wrestle with big ideas, because theology grows through curiosity, not blind acceptance. And then 3, learn from trustworthy teachers. Find solid, biblically sound teachers who explain theology in a way that makes sense. And yes, that includes avoiding TikTok theology that's all vibes and no substance.
Maybe she's vibing.
So if theology isn't just for scholars, what's another mistake Christians make? It's treating theology like a debate club. Let's be honest. A lot of Christians treat theology like a competitive sport. Some people think that being right is the goal. If they can just dunk on enough people in debates, they're basically the MVP of Christianity. But here's the thing. Theology isn't about proving you're the smartest person in the room. It's about knowing and loving God more deeply. Because if theology isn't making you more like Jesus, you're probably doing it wrong. Jesus didn't say, "By this everyone will know you are my disciples if you win every theological debate on Facebook." The problem isn't caring about sound doctrine. That's important. But when theology turns into a battleground instead of a way to know God, we've missed the point. What happens when we get this wrong? Well, pride replaces humility. And instead of being in awe of God, we become obsessed with proving ourselves right. We'll push people away, that instead of drawing them towards truth, we make them defensive or disillusioned. And we miss the heart of theology, that instead of loving God and others, we use theology to tear people down. And don't get me wrong, truth matters. But truth without love, that's not very good theology. That's just noise. So what should you do? First, ask, is this about God or my ego? That before jumping into a debate, check your heart. Are you defending truth or just trying to win? Second, prioritize clarity over combat. Instead of debating to win, aim to make theology clear and accessible for others. And 3, hold truth with humility. Recognize that even the best theologians have blind spots. Be firm in truth, but gracious in discussion. Because theology done right should lead to humility, not arrogance. Because the more we truly understand God, the less we feel the need to prove ourselves. I get it. Some people think theology is just theoretical, like it's a hobby for Bible nerds.
Oh, nerd alert.
But has no real impact on life. But this isn't pickleball.
And you know what? I'm enjoying pickleball too.
Because your theology shapes everything. And this is why it matters. It's going to affect how you pray. If you believe God is distant, your prayers will feel like wishful thinking instead of a real conversation. How you handle suffering. If you think God only blesses those with enough faith, suffering will feel like punishment instead of a trial with purpose. And how you treat others. If your theology says God's grace is only for people like you, you're going to struggle to show grace to those who are different, especially those who are theologically different. And what we believe about God, it directly affects how we live, which means theology is anything but optional. And when we get this wrong, we end up with a faith that's shallow. Because without solid theology, here's what we're going to do. We will rely on our emotions. When feelings fade, faith typically follows. Spiritual burnout. If you think God's love depends on your performance, you'll never experience true rest in His grace. If your theology isn't grounded in Scripture, trials will shake your faith instead of strengthening it. Bad theology doesn't just lead to bad thinking, it leads to bad living. So what do you do? First ask, what do I really believe about God? Because your theology isn't what you say, it's what you live by. 2, check your belief against Scripture. If what you believe about God isn't biblical, it's time to rethink it. And then 3, live out your theology. The best way to know if your theology is solid, see if it holds up in real life. Because theology isn't just about knowing the right answers. It's about knowing the right God, and that changes everything. Here's the takeaway. We all do theology. The question is whether we're doing it well. Bad theology can leave us confused, arrogant, or even spiritually unhealthy. But good theology, it leads us to truth, humility, and deeper trust in God. So let's do theology not to win arguments, but to know God better.